On today's episode of Phinside The NFL, are the Miami Dolphins looking to bring back Connor Williams despite signing Aaron Brewer? Also, for all of you who did not want OBJ to become a Miami Dolphin, could things turn out in your favor due to the Rashee Rice incident? We will talk about that and so much more, including it becoming a somber day in Dolphin land for all of us who watched the Dolphins from 2009 to 2012. R.I.P. Vontae Davis. We'll talk about everything under the sun related to the Dolphins. Do me the favor, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Let's get into this.
Loses the football. Touchdown! Got it! You have got to be kidding me. Jalen Waddle has a Dolphin touchdown. And he will score. Field down the near side, man open. Touchdown! The run from Tua Tagovailoa. Touchdown! He's going deep. He's going over the touchdown again.
Beautiful day to be a Dolphin fan. Let's go! What is good, Fin Nation? What's good? It's your boy Reason, and we are back here for another one. Appreciate each and every one of you that are coming through on this Monday as we start off your week. I hope you all had a fantastic Easter weekend. Shout out to Knight, who just gifted a Phinside The NFL membership to Craig Bryant. So shout out to Knight for his donation and his way to support the channel and to continue to grow the community. Guys, I will have my Edge big board coming for all of you tomorrow. All right, so be on the lookout for that tomorrow night. I'll have my top 15 edge rushers of this class. So be on the lookout for that one. It's going to be a good one. Shout out to Brad Martin. He's not to be outdone. He gifted 5 Phinside The NFL memberships. We're starting. This is no April Fool's joke. T. Louis 2, Powerhouse TJ, Matthew Chick, Caleb, and Tyler all get memberships courtesy of Brad Martin. Another reason why you always want to be watching live on YouTube. You never know when the mods are going to go off and start doing things like this. Appreciate each and every one of you for coming through. Like I said, it's a blessed night, man. It's a blessed night, man. So let's talk about this first and foremost. Because I know you guys you've heard me talk about. Oh, hold on a sec. Hold on. D Hugga says not to be outdone. Here is 5 more memberships, and D Hugga comes through, and he drops it. He ain't joking around, is he? Huh? D Hugga dropping it. 5 memberships. Dale, Allen, Aaron, and Bush, and No Name Fins, they are all members of the channel now. For all of you new members, you got access to emojis. You also have access to stuff the normal community doesn't see. Go over to the community tab, and you will find a whole bunch of inside information. And oh boy, we're doing it again, aren't we? Brad Martin has said, hold on a sec, here's 10 more memberships. Here we go. DDSCLA, Fig, Rob, SAFC, Newfoundland, Kells, Hugo, Sonny, Ricardo, Gold, Real Special K. It is no joke out in here in these YouTube streets right now. Appreciate you, Brad. This man is not joking around right now. He is not joking around. So we have, a whole bunch of, we have over 20 new members, 21 new members, including Knight. Look at, and then the Watch Mister comes through and he says, F it, I can't be outdone like this. Fins up with a $20 donation. Appreciate you, Senor Relojes, a.k.a. The Watch Mister. Appreciate all the mods coming through and showing some love, man. And, you know what? This is a great thing about the mods here. Look at them growing the community. Love it. I absolutely love it, man. So shout out to Knight. Shout out to The Watch Mister. Shout out to Brad Martin. Shout out to D Hugga. The mods helping grow the community, man. I love it. So we got to start off, though. I mean, man, how do you start off after that on such a good note and take it to, and yo, shout out to, you know, it's mutual, Brad. Says, love y'all. You didn't even know. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to tell you right now. Shout out to Bobby. Shout out to Bobby. All right. I saw you text me, bro. I'll get to those when I'm done the show, brother. Listen, I'm coming down, baby. All right, I want to make this announcement. It's official. Hold on, Knight, member for 21 months, all for one for y'all. Aqua and Orange, so we die. You know what time it is. Ladies and gentlemen, prepare yourself. All right, your boy's coming down for training camp. I'm gonna find one of those. I'm waiting for that schedule to be released, and I'm probably gonna be rolling with a couple of people from, you know, the community. So it's going down 110% this summer. All right. So already we're going to wait for the schedule, the training camp schedule to come out and the blocks to come out. And I'm going to try to find like a block in 5 days where they practice 3 or 4 times. So it's coming down. So we are going to definitely have some kind of get together. All right. Knight gifted 1 NFL membership, and Rome Gray. Look at this. Rome Gray still coming out. So get prepared, ladies and gentlemen. And I will be 110% coming down to, you know, because remember last season what held me back was my wife had transitioned into a, I don't want to say like a new job, but had transitioned, you know, to a different part of her company. And so now that, you know, she's a year deep in there, we're setting it up. So I will be coming down for training camp, and I will be coming down for a game this year. All right. So we'll be doing some get-togethers when I get down there. All right. And also I will be doing a 15K giveaway coming soon. So be out on the lookout for that. All right. So yeah, it's going to be a good time, baby. We're going to all get together. It's going down. All right. It is going down. All right. So I just got the word like last week. So it's going down, baby. You already know what time it is. It's going down, baby. All right. So do me the favor, guys. Continue to smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new as you come through. Now, okay, let's finally get to it. Vontae Davis, you know, I've told this story so many times on this channel. I'm a huge, you know, I loved Vontae Davis. I loved Sean Smith. I love that pairing. You know, watching Vontae Davis get traded on Hard Knocks sucked. You know, made me hate Joe Philbin even more. And I think I've told this story before numerous times on this channel, my Vontae Davis story. You know, I used to be in a fantasy football group. It was 12 guys. We all went to school together. And, you know, but we've all like got lives and all moved on and stuff like that. Some of us still do fantasy together, but not all of us. Anyways, we used to get together for a draft. Like we used to do like manual hand pick draft where the GM would insert manually our picks. So, you know, everyone knew I was a huge Vontae Davis fan. And I remember sitting there the day we were doing our fantasy draft, and it was the same day that they traded Vontae Davis to the Indianapolis Colts. And one of my good buddies in that fantasy league group, Colts fan. And I remember him looking at me and just as it crossed the wire. And I remember being so pissed off and bitter, like so pissed off and bitter. You know, I thought Vontae Davis and Sean Smith as a duo, they had a chance to be special, I thought. You know, Vontae had that rookie season where I believe he had 4 picks. Then he had the sophomore season where he had 1. Then he came back in that final year. He had 4 picks, and he had 2 of them against Buffalo, right, in 2011. That game where he had 2 picks against Buffalo. I thought him and Sean Smith, you know, Sean Smith ended up going off having a good career with the Kansas City Chiefs and such. And, you know, Vontae Davis, you know, as we know, like the absolute champion he is, we all loved him even more when we found out he walked off on the Buffalo Bills at halftime. It made his legacy as a Miami Dolphin even that much better. But man, that was, in the last 15 years, I can say, everyone knows I love me some Rashad Jones. Obviously, I love me some Javon Holland. Everyone knows now I love Jalen Ramsey, and everyone knows I loved X. But Vontae Davis and Sean Smith were up there in my top 10 defensive players that I, as a fan, loved over the last 15 years. Obviously, the brother of Vernon. We know how special Vernon was. Just terrible, man. Gone too young, 35 years old. I believe they found him in a South Florida residence. Just absolutely terrible, man. Only 35 years old. Still had a whole hell of a lot of life to live. Was an amazing football player. I never heard bad story about him from anyone I've talked to. The worst story is he walked out on the Buffalo Bills, and ask yourself, Dolphin fans, wouldn't you do the same? So, it's just absolutely sad. Absolutely sad, absolutely tragic. Awesome player. I was a huge fan of him when he was here. There's just not much more I can say about him and his presence, man. He just, you felt like that kid could have been special. The right coaching, right development, and the right pairing. And him and Sean Smith for a period there I felt like we had one of the best young cornerback tandems in the NFL. And when Philbin split that up, man, I still remember watching that Hard Knocks, when they traded him, I absolutely hate, in case you don't realize, I absolutely hate Joe Philbin. Like, I know people hate Adam Gase. I know people hate Brian Flores. And, I'm not a fan of Flores. I'm not a fan of Gase. But Joe Philbin, holy jeez, I hate that guy. I might hate Joe Philbin more than I hate Brian Flores. And Cam Cameron, too. So, at least we had a winning record with Brian Flores, But those clowns, what they did to this team, and they set us back, right? They set us back. So, and I agree with Dolphin Don and what he just said in the chat right there. 110% Dolphin. Said the Ocho Cinco cut, I didn't agree either. They should have given him another chance. But it felt like, okay, you know what's crazy? Last year, is either last offseason or the season before it, I went back and I watched that Hard Knocks. It was either last offseason or the offseason before, but I know it was in an offseason. It was within the last 2 years. And, man, that Ocho Cinco thing, especially with what they let receivers get away with now, what they let players get away with now, So, that Ocho Cinco thing, you felt like he should have, been given another chance because we needed contributors badly. It felt, I agree with you, Dolphin Don, it felt super petty. It felt like Joe Philbin was waiting to make an example out of him. Like, it just felt like he was just waiting to cut that tie. So, yeah, not a fan. Not a fan of Joe Philbin at all. So, yeah. Man, I hated that guy. And, a lot of people don't, I've said this on the channel before. I don't know how many people pay attention. I understand what he did with the Cowboys. But, even if he did take Schottenheimer's team, okay, listen. Jimmy Johnson. Okay. I hated Jimmy Johnson for what he did. For what he did, and I know people will say, Jimmy Johnson, for what he did to Marino, for what he did to Marino, and I know Barry Switzer took over his team, and Barry Switzer found success. But man, I'm going to tell you this. I hated Jimmy Johnson. He took over Tom Landry, right? When Landry, Johnson, and Switzer. But I think I said Schottenheimer. What am I talking about? I hated Jimmy Johnson for what he did to Dan Marino. Dan Marino absolutely hated that man. And then what happens? He leaves. He brings in Wannstedt. That didn't work out, obviously. Yeah, we got a playoff berth out of it, but it didn't work out in the long run. And, I remember watching Fox Sports, and, it was before Jimmy Johnson came on full time. And I remember they would show him in his backyard, and he'd have his pool lit and, just living the Miami life. And I'm like, this guy just came down here to get yeah, I'm sorry, for what Jimmy Johnson did to Marino and how quickly they pushed Shula out, I was not a fan of Jimmy Johnson. Sorry, Cowboy fans can, love him up all they want or whatever, but I was good on him in Miami. That was the wrong move. That was the wrong move. I think you still could have got another year or two out of Marino probably, right? The rumor is that we paid him to retire because he was ready to go to Minnesota. So, yeah, not a Jimmy Johnson fan, I mean, I've grown to like him a bit more now that he's just an announcer, but from a coaching standpoint, kind of the way he pushed out Marino to me is unforgivable. So, I mean, people can have their own opinion about it, but yeah, I was not a fan of Jimmy Johnson. I remember even as a kid not being a fan of Jimmy Johnson, right? So, Jimmy Johnson handicapped Marino and pivoted to trying to run the ball within 4-tier running backs, and he passed on Randy Moss. Agreed, 110%. He tried to change us into something we weren't at the time. Totally deviated away from what we were fundamentally and tried to change us into something or not we weren't, and in the turn pissed off Marino and tried to push him out of town. Yeah, Philbin and Cam and Flores were worse. I'll give you that much. But Jimmy's up there for me, man. I can't forgive. I got a bad taste in my mouth from how that all played out with Marino, right? So, obviously, everyone has a bad taste in their mouth over Flores and how that played out with Tua as well. It's crazy, It seems a lot of people, they just talk about Tua Flores. They forget. Again, how many times do you hear me say, how many of these people in this community that you out here trashing on Tua and trashing were actually fans when Marino was around? I'm the only platform that talks about the Marino-Jimmy Johnson beef. Because I remember it like it was yesterday. And this is coming from a kid in Canada remembering it like that. So, once again, I say how many of these people are actually around. And remember, this is not the first time we've had our franchise quarterback and the head coach clash. People think this if you were a true Dolphin fan that's been a fan for, 30 plus years, this ain't the first time we had it. One time the coach got his way. The second time around, at least we learned from our mistake and the coach did not get his way and they stuck with the quarterback. Hey, small steps, but they're learning, huh? Eh? Oh my God. Small steps, but they're learning. Senior Relojes, appreciate you for your donation, my friend. Appreciate you, sir. And Jimmy Johnson, man. And same to you, Knight. Appreciate you for your donations. All right. Pyro says I'm making him queasy. Oh yeah, you got that Philbin feeling, huh? Right in the pit of your stomach right now. Right in the pit of your stomach. Feeling queasy, man. All right, let's keep it rolling here, and let's get into the news. And again, I gotta say, R.I.P. Vontae Davis. You were an absolute stud of a player while you wore the aqua and orange. Absolutely sad. Condolences out to his family and his loved ones and his friends and all the players and coaches along the way that played with him and shared the gridiron with them, man. Condolences to all of them because I can't even imagine what they're going through right now. 35 years old, man. That's 4 years. I am much older. So that's crazy. So, man, I hope they find some peace and some happiness, and they're able to fill that void somewhat moving forward. All right. Now let's get into it. We got a couple things regarding the offensive line, and this is going to matter in terms of where we go with the draft. All right. So we got some more news because the Dolphins, this is getting real on the interior. They are turning over the stones. It's undetermined if Dolphins free agent center Connor Williams will play this upcoming season because of a serious knee injury. Ladies and gentlemen, if you are a Patreon or if you are now a member, we've got over 21 of you now that were just added today. Go to that community tab and go see that before this was being reported to the public, I was telling all y'all, if you're a Patreon, you've seen the video. If you're a channel member, you've seen it on the community tab. Go back. Go do the research. The receipts are there. I was telling y'all how bad this Connor Williams injury was. I was telling all y'all the word that I got was they were looking at guys like Andre James, and then they actually eventually settled with Aaron Brewer. But the reason why they were looking at other center options, why was I hearing? Because they feared it was much worse than just a simple torn ACL. And now they don't even know if he's going to play this year. So, but when he does play again, the Dolphins have not ruled out the possibility of a return, a league source said. The sides will remain in occasional communication. Williams sustained a torn ACL in last December's Monday night loss to Tennessee. While full details on the injury haven't been revealed, it is considered more serious than a simple ACL. That's literally what I said in my update, too. As I said, the Dolphins believe it's to be more serious than an ACL tear. That's literally what I said. Miami signed former Titan starter Aaron Brewer to be their center next season. Listen, I've heard similar since this market has been playing out. I have heard that a return is not off the table by any stretch of the imagination, but he's not getting the money he thought he was getting before the injury by any stretch of the imagination. The reason why Drew Rosenhaus initially reported that Connor Williams wasn't going to get signed in the first wave of free agency was because they knew he wouldn't check out in terms of medicals, and that would just drive his value down. This looks like you know what this looks like? This looks like he's either going to be a training camp addition or he's going to sign during the season right back with the Miami Dolphins on a 2-year deal. The first year will basically be a wash. The second year will be for him to get his money in terms of play. They've prepared themselves with Aaron Brewer. Second year, first year is probably, they're expecting probably going to be a little bit of a wash. Second year, you can come back here. We can either kick Brewer out to left guard or you out to left guard. And then that 1 year, the second year of your deal, you will have a chance to get money. That's what it looks like it's going to be. I don't see them signing him to a 1-year deal if he's not going to be back till November or December. I see a 2-year deal. He can come back in at latest October, November, December. And then the real contribution happens in year 2 of the contract. And year 2 of the contract is for him to get his value back up and stay healthy. Win-win for everyone. That's the circumstance I see going down if this happens. But this is a very real possibility. And I'm going to go back to that article and you're going to see why. But the Miami Dolphins are most definitely right now sniffing around that interior market. They are not done, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know whether it's the draft or free agency. They are not done. That is evident. And it's evident by what we see here. All right? According to 2 sources, the Dolphins have had at least some level of communication with 2 veteran free agent starting guards, and 1 part-time starting guard, but have indicated they might want to get through the draft before deciding whether to add a veteran starting guard. Isaiah Wynn is expected to be the front runner to start at left guard. The right guard could be Liam Eichenberg, Robert Jones, Lester Cotton, Jack Driscoll, or someone who's not currently on the roster. What have I said? I've said that right guard right now is Liam Eichenberg and Jack Driscoll. That's what that's coming down to right now. I can almost guarantee you. Now, Isaiah Wynn, that's a lot of names to battle at right guard and no one behind Isaiah Wynn. And now we get back to the name game. 2 starters and 1 part-time starter. So what are we talking about? Dalton Risner, Laken Tomlinson, guys with ties to Butch Berry and Mike McDaniel. I mean, that's now 3. We now know they've been in contact with 3 guards who have starter-level capability. That's literally what we have confirmation of now. I'm going to be honest with you. I see Austin says Risner season. Yo, at 55, draft this guy. If Fotanu or someone like that, or J.C. Latham is there and you want to draft them, if a tackle who can play guard in year 1 falls, take him to 21. If they're one of your top 5 tackles, take them. I don't think it's Talise Fuaga. I don't think Joe Alter and Olu Fashanu is falling to us. But if a Troy Fotanu does by some miracle, take him. I think he's going to be high on Amarius Mims. So, take him. Now, if you pass on that for either a skill position, whether it's a receiver or Bowers drops, or there's an edge rusher you like, or, a Johnny Newton's on the board, or maybe they're like Byron Murphy and he's on the board, take those guys and then circle back around, because I'm telling you, you've got value in the second round of 55. I think Haynes might be gone by then. But, man, he's on the board and you run up. There's value at 55 to find at guard. Serious value. So, but they're clearly serious about this. This is not something they're taking lightly. This tells me they are eyeing the tackle class and the guard class. They are eyeing a tackle at 21 that they're hoping falls to them based on what they're hearing. And then I'm sure they got guard options at 55 lined up that they're hoping falls. They are taking this seriously, I think. And it sounds like, ladies and gentlemen, this is why I think they're leaning draft. It sounds like they want a long-term solution. When we talk about Dalton Risner, when we talk about Laken Tomlinson, these guys are in their 30s. They're not long-term solutions. It seems like they're hoping a long-term solution falls to them in the draft. Whether that be someone who falls to them that can play guard for 1 year and kick out to tackle in the second year, or whether it's someone they think can be a permanent guard. I don't think they'll take, I know everyone's still hung up on Jackson Powers Johnson. I don't think they're going to take interior at 21. It would have to be a tackle that can give them versatility. Like the name that keeps rising and you keep hearing is Graham Barton. That's the name. I would be, if you're looking at a guy who could play center, guard, and tackle, if you're looking for a guy who might predominantly be seen as an interior guy by some, that's the name I would be worried about at 21, other than taking, if you don't want them to take an interior guy. If you want them to take a tackle that can play guard, I get it. But if you want them to take an interior guy or you're a JPJ guy, Graham Barton is the one I'd be afraid of. If you're a JPJ guy or gal. That's your biggest threat to Jackson Powers Johnson, I think, is Graham Barton. That's what gets you in trouble, Scotty. That's what gets you in trouble. That's what you got to be careful of. Jack of all trades, master of none. That's 110% what you got to be careful of. Perfect example. Now, it's on the other side of the ball, but I'll give you an example. Same draft class. Remember, there's people saying, we shouldn't draft Tua. We should draft Isaiah Simmons. Remember that one? You remember that? Remember how me and EM used to scoff at the people who said, are you seriously talking about taking Isaiah Simmons over a potentially franchise quarterback? And who ends up being right? All right. The people that hate on Tua were those same ones saying take Derek Brown and Isaiah Simmons. All right. How quickly we forget. These people weren't saying take Herbert. You know, they weren't saying take Jordan Love. They may now. They weren't saying take Joe Burrow. They were saying take Derek Brown or Isaiah Simmons. What would you rather? Derek Brown, Isaiah Simmons, or Tua Tagovailoa? I think that's a pretty freaking easy answer if you ask me. So, anyways, I digress. But he's the perfect example. Isaiah Simmons coming out was what at Clemson? Jack of all trades, master of none. No one knew where he fit. Is he a linebacker? Is he a safety? Size and length came into play with him. So, you got to be wary because I'm going to tell you this much, man. Guys like that and, taking a projection when you need a producer, a day one producer, taking a project, those are the things that can get you fired. Those are the things that get you good night. So, anyways, interesting. Connor Williams still on the table for return. And I'm interested to see, hey, sign him back. I want to see where you fit him. Who do you throw back to left guard? Who? I want to see how they work that out. Personally, I'd stick Connor back to left guard. Personally, that's who I'd stick back to left guard. Just on size alone. Right? I think he can hold his own at the guard. A little, got the guard position a little bit more. I like his anchor more. So I'd put Connor back to left guard is who I'd put back to left guard if you were going to bring them both back. Knight says Fontenot or premium position for me. Trenches deep. I'm done. Listen, Troy Fontenot is on the board. You run that ticket. I got, you're getting the word that there's a possibility that, there's a real possibility that Alt Fashanu, all right, Talise Fuaga, who everyone knows is one of my man crushes, Troy Fontenot, and Amarius Mims are off the board before you even draft. And then there's a real possibility you're going to have 4 or 5 quarterbacks as well. That's already 10 draft picks, and we haven't touched edge rusher. We haven't even touched receiver. And Marvin Harrison, Rome Odunze, and Brian Thomas are going, so there's 13. You haven't even... I said Marvin Harrison, Malik Neighbors, and Rome Odunze are going to go. So Brian Thomas hasn't even been touched, and you're 13 deep. But Brian Thomas will go, so now you're like 14 deep. Again, still haven't even touched edge. Still haven't even touched defensive tackle. Still haven't even touched corner. And Terrion Arnold and Quinion Mitchell and I think Kool-Aid are going to have a chance to go in the top 20. You know what I mean? So talent's going to follow us, man. Talent is going to follow us. There's just no other way around it. That's why I would... Trading back, there's going to be talent on the board. There's a realistic possibility there's going to be a first round. They're going to have a first round graded talent on the board at 21. In a draft where the majority of people only have about 18 to 20 first round grades for the majority, from what I understand, there's a chance. So, Jason Stamps, I think J.C. Latham is going to be there. And they're high on Latham. Right, I had that in one of my reports within the last couple weeks. Miami Fan Talk Show says I would trade back in the first round, acquire another first round pick for this year's draft, and a third round pick for this year's draft, and draft Burton, the tackle guard out of Duke, a DT in the second round, and Rice in the third. Acquire another first-round pick for this. So you try to trade back in the. Are you trading back in the first for like, I don't know, 20 from 21 to 27 and then a couple other picks? Is that what you mean? So you want a first and a third in exchange. Hey, all depends on what the board looks like. Listen, if you got a quarterback needy team that wants to move up and they want to give that up for Bo Nix and nothing we likes on the board, knock yourself out. I'm down. Knight, he says it's a bit high, but I would even take Morgan. At 21, you want to take Jordan Morgan? Yeah, I'd trade back on that. I don't know. That's a bit high. If J.C. Latham's on the board, I'd take Latham over Morgan. I'd take Mims over Morgan. Yeah, that is a bit high. You know, that's a bit high. Yeah. Hey, listen, that's how you're going to get someone to pay that kind of premium. If there's a quarterback needy team out there and you're going to get even more of a premium, you may be able to squeeze a first, a third, and then like a fifth next year if there's two teams trying to battle up and get that spot, right? I'm going to tell you right now, if someone trades up to take Bo Nix over Michael Penix Jr., I'm going to laugh at that franchise. Oh, my God. That's a Cleveland Brown move, isn't it? J.C. Latham is an absolute star, in my opinion, if he comes here. I agree. And I think he can – listen, I think he can play right tackle, right guard, and I think he has the ability to kick him to left tackle. Same thing that the Cleveland Browns did with Jedrick Wills. I think he has the ability to kick the left tackle if you need to. So, when is my O-line list dropping? So, I'm doing edge this week. And then I'm going to do either guard or tackle next week. Then safety. And then whichever one I didn't do out of guard and tackle. That's the plan for now. Listen, you know what would be amazing? Imagine if we came away. I'm going to tell you this right now. The most ideal. If they came away with Troy Fontenot and then Xavier Legette, I don't know how. But if they came away with that, oh my God. Oh my God. If they came away with a Troy Fontenot and an Xavier Legette, oh my Lord. I would be so happy. Oh my God. Speaking of offensive linemen and Aaron Brewer, though, shout out to him for putting in that work. He ain't letting Connor Williams come back and take his job without a fight, huh? That ain't happening. So shout out to Aaron Brewer for putting in that work. He said, you ain't coming back and taking my job. I got this locked down. So I had to show that. You know, we were talking about the interior. We were talking about the center position. Got to show him. Because another reason why I showed that picture. Did anyone notice the account that posted that? Did anyone happen to watch that, see that picture? And did anyone happen to catch that account? Let me know. Let me know if you happen to catch that. Yeah, I'd take Legette over Fisk. Because it matters. That matters. OL Masterminds. O-line Masterminds, ladies and gentlemen. And everyone hears me talk about them all the time. You're talking about one of the best. You're talking about one of the best offensive line training facilities in the world. They're the cream of the crop. Cooper Bebe's training with them. Creed Humphrey works with them. I'm just saying. Obviously, you got Zach Martin does a lot of work with them too. And yet you got that boy Taron Armstead puts in work with them too. Taron Armstead, Lane Johnson. We're talking like the best of the best put in with them. All right? The best of the best. And remember when we all wanted to see that growth from Austin Jackson, we were hoping he would work out with them. So shout out to Aaron Brewer for taking his game to that next step. Because you know that they work with Duke Manyweather, right? Duke Manyweather is one of the best offensive line developmental coaches and scouts in the nation. One of the best around. So Aaron Brewer looking to level up, man. So shout out to him, taking that Taron Armstead path, taking that Taron Armstead advice. Shout out to him, man. That kind of stuff matters. That kind of work matters. You know what I mean? Continuing on here, another NFL head coach thinks Miami Dolphins hit home run with Anthony Weaver hire. New Miami Dolphins defensive coordinator Anthony Weaver wasn't at the NFL's annual league meeting in Orlando, Florida this week, but a ton of his friends were, and the consensus was the Dolphins made a very smart hire. Mike McDonald on Anthony Weaver said the latest to weigh in he said this: when did I figure he'd be a good DC? When he was in Houston. All right. And those two work together, right? McDonald was Baltimore's defensive coordinator last year. Weaver was McDonald's defensive line coach. And together they led a unit that led the league in scoring and ranked third in yards per play allowed. He said, quote, "That's the first time I ever saw him, and I thought he did a great job there and just working with him on a day-to-day basis. That is someone that I have a huge respect for just as a human being and as a leader. Incredibly smart. The players love him. He was a huge asset for our staff and how those guys played up front in the success that, you're excited for the guys' success that we had up front at the D-line spot. And he's going to do a tremendous job for those guys. Man, we miss him and wish the best for him. I feel that he's going to be a head coach someday," said Eric DeCosta, one of the Ravens' top football people, the GM. I mean, it's right there for him. He's going to do a remarkable job, I think, down in Miami. The players are going to love him. Community is going to love him. The defense is going to be fast and furious. And I think he'll be a head coach before you know it. And Harbaugh bigged him up, called him an absolute star, called him a great leader, etc. Man, I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope this sticks. I hope this isn't like a one and done or 2 years and done. Because I fear it might be, because I think he's gonna do that good of a job. Now we'll benefit from that as fans and as a franchise. But man, this is a guy you're hoping sticks, and you never know if things don't go right with Tua and McDaniel in this year of expectations. We've joked around about it, but you might have the new guy in house if things don't go your way, right? You might have the new guy in house. So, listen, something I wanted to talk about here before we continue on and get into some more news and notes. Are the Kansas City Chiefs officially now? We've talked about it on this channel. We've theorized about it. But can you kind of officially consider them potentially the biggest threat to sign to any team, not just the Miami Dolphins, that want to sign Odell Beckham Jr.? With everything that just went down with this Rashee Rice incident, you got to think, especially if things go sideways for Rashee Rice, you got to think they're going to pivot. You have got to think they are going to pivot. And he's already been playing on social media, right? He's already been liking their stuff up on Instagram and stuff like that. This thing that just went down with Rashee Rice, it's crazy. If anyone didn't know, he was involved in, a Corvette and a Lamborghini were involved in a basically high-speed, collision. They didn't collide with each other, but it turned out to be an accident where 4 other cars got involved. I believe it was Saturday around 6:30 p.m. And, Rashee Rice doesn't turn himself in. One of the cars is listed to him. There are photos of males leaving the scene from the cars. Like, they literally smashed up a Lamborghini and Corvette, and all the occupants of both cars dipped. Now, I've seen rumblings of, there was stuff in the car, you know what I mean, in terms of firearms and stuff. I'm not here to talk on that kind of speculation and stuff like that. I don't know about that. But I have seen, the dash cam footage was released. Screenshots from the dash cam footage have come out. And, the fact of the matter is he hasn't turned himself in. If he wasn't at the scene or is going to be pinned on someone else, they would have probably already released a statement. So I don't know how this is going to go. This is at least heading for a minimum of 4-game suspension. You just have a feeling that if this doesn't play, the judicial process as well as the NFL's investigation doesn't play out in Rashee Rice's favor, they're going to pivot to someone like that. I could see them drafting receiver and adding OBJ. So I don't know. This is it's crazy enough. Between Chris Olave, Henry Ruggs, and all these people, you know how many people would give up their current situation or something they hold dear to themselves just to have those kind of shots to set their family and future generations up, for a long time, and these people just piss it away, for what? Like, what is the point of pissing that away? Even if you weren't driving, why are you letting your boys drive your whip like that? And I just do not see this going over well. So, with Goodell and stuff like that. So I ask y'all, put in the comments right now. Put in the chat, whether you're watching live or whether you're watching after the fact. Do you believe that if things do not go well for Rashee Rice, the Kansas City Chiefs become the most likely destination for Odell Beckham Jr.? Let me know. Let me know, okay? Now, continuing on, ladies and gentlemen, we got to give a shout out to Kader Kohou, because Kader Kohou out putting in the work and getting paid off of it. All right? I see everyone saying yes, yes, yes. They agree it's going down. So, if you look at this, what am I showing you right now? What are you seeing? Well, what you're seeing here are performance-based payouts. And what you're seeing here is the top 10. And guess who lands right in it? Yes, that's correct. Kader Kohou. The NFL's performance-based pay distributions for 2023 were announced. Kader Kohou ranked 5th, earning $878,167. What's even more amazing about this, to me, he's the only UDFA in the top 10. Give that man his props. Look at Clemson. Well, I guess Middle Tennessee State isn't bad. Oh, no, Reed Blankenship. I totally missed him. Totally missed Reed Blankenship. He's one of 2 UDFAs. Let's give him that. But look at the Middle Tennessee and Texas A&M Commerce. They're going up against Kentucky, Tennessee, Florida, Georgia. You know what I mean? Clemson. So shout out to Reed Blankenship and shout out to Kader Kohou. I blanked on Blankenship being a UDFA. So shout out to them for being the only 2 UDFAs in the top 10. You're seeing third-round investments, fourth-round investments, a second-round investment in the top 10, but the UDFA is coming through. I'm telling you, man. Listen, you can say what you want. You can literally say what you want about Kader Kohou last year. I don't think he was put in a position to succeed. I think he was forced out onto the boundary when that's not his game. I think he's a nickel. I think he belongs in the slot. I think he'll be returned there this year. I mean, you were seeing, not only was he not ready for full-time work on the boundary, he wasn't ready to take on top guys like Stephon Diggs and such, and that's who they were putting him up against. It just, if you want my honest opinion, Fangio at times, bad coaching. Bad coaching. Using players out of their comfort zone. And I get it. You want players that can play out of their comfort zone. But when you got a guy like that who's as good as he is in the slot, keep him there. Keep him there. All right? Like, don't fix something if it ain't broke. Right? What else can you say? Moving on to the draft for all of you here. The Miami Dolphins are hosting Oregon State linebacker Calvin Hart Jr. He's been invited to the Dolphins local prospect day per league source. Now you guys are going to ask Reason, what do you think of him? I have watched a limited. I actually did watch one game of him. I watched his game against UCLA. He had a really good game against UCLA, and I did watch that. Nothing really popped when I watched him. I know we did have a scout in attendance at the Oregon State Pro Day. Now, I don't know whether that was for Talise Fuaga. I don't know what that was for. But, he's a transfer from Illinois. That UCLA game, he looked pretty damn good, though. I will say that. If I remember correctly, he had 1.5 or 2 sacks, if I remember correctly. He was balling in that game. But, if you're going to ask my opinion, haven't watched him extensively because, from the little bit that I did watch, I think he's going to be a UDFA. So, I do not think he's either going to be a late day 3 or a UDFA. I don't think he's a first 2-day pick. So, yeah. That's my thoughts on Calvin Hart Jr. Great name. Fantastic name, might I say. Really fantastic name. All right. I want to give you guys an update, too, just for the off-season program, because it does, guys, the off-season program begins in 2 weeks. It begins on April 15th, and it concludes at the beginning of June. So OTAs, the OTA portion of practice will start in late May, but they'll have on-field practice sessions from May 20 to 21st, May 23rd, May 28th to 29th, May 31st. You also have the rookie mini camp, right? Because you also have the mandatory mini camp that takes place from June 4th to 5th and 6th. So, and a lot of it is voluntary work. So, it's going to be interesting to see how this all works out, man. But, again, off season is in full effect, baby. In full effect. Also, guys, salary cap. In case you didn't know, right now, an update for salary cap, because we haven't really talked about it much. Right now, they have about $4.8 million in cap, according to Over the Cap, with another $18.5 million set to free up June 1st. So this team could be sitting on well over $22 million. $22 million when June 1st opens up. So money. Ladies and gentlemen, do me the favor, please. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you are new. There's over 400 of you in the room. Appreciate each and every one of you taking some time out on your Monday to check in with me and talk about the latest in terms of the Miami Dolphins. Remember, tomorrow I will have my edge rusher big board. And if anything breaks or anything comes through the news wire, we will also cover that. So we got still more content coming for y'all. And then Thursday, I'll be live with Neil for Fin Too Deep. I got to double check. I do not know if there's an episode of Finish Line this week. I think Ball Game is out of commish, still doing the track and field stuff. So I'll keep you posted on all that. Listen, do me the favor as you're on your way out. Smash the like button. Over 400 of you in the room. Smash the like button. Subscribe if you're new. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you on the next one. And as always, fins up all day, every day, until Margaritaville sends that cease and desist our way, and it turns into Go Fins. It's happening, people. Take it easy, guys.